Ladies and gentlemen, hold on tight because this is about to get explosive. Ilhan Omar, the Somali welfare queen of Little Mogadishu, Minnesota, has found herself in the crosshairs of a new complaint that's rocking her world, and she just tried calling us independent podcasters and political commentators out for busting her and exposing her scams and her being an absolute and complete, a total fraud. Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Minnesota, has found herself in hot water after new complaint has dropped. And let me tell you, she is in utter panic. You see, I've been exposing the massive, widespread fraud, along with a few others, whom I'm sure you all watch and tune into their shows too here on YouTube. And we've all been digging deep and uncovering the facts and following the money that's not only gone missing, but that's been plaguing her district. Fraud that's not only just about stealing taxpayer money, but about funneling it into fund Islamic terrorism back in Somalia. My latest few videos, which have already racked up over 1 million views, dives deep into how hundreds of millions were siphoned off from programs meant to help vulnerable children, only to line the pockets of terrorists. And I'll show them to you here, and you can go watch those videos at the end of this one if you haven't seen them yet. But apparently, my show didn't just reach millions of viewers, it reached Ilhan Omar herself, because she had a press conference, not to condemn the fraud or the terrorism funding, but to attack people like me for the grave sin of reporting the truth. And yes, you heard that right. Instead of addressing the corruption in her own backyard, she's doubling down on the hypocrisy that defines the Democrats and the mainstream media. They hate President Trump. They love to hate Donald Trump for every little thing. But when it comes to their own, it's crickets. This is the double standard we're up against, folks. An agenda that's not about making America great, but about making it great for fraud, terrorism, and lies. And so stick with me, because this story is bigger than you think, and it's only just beginning. Because now Ilhan Omar has really gone and done it. After that disaster of a press conference and getting called out by President Trump, the Somali welfare queen decides to take matters into her own hands and step it up a notch, and chooses to go on CNN of all networks to basically lie on camera and ah her way through one of the weakest cop-outs to theft, fraud, and the abuse of stealing the great people of Minnesota's money just so she could send it all back to Al-Shabaab. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because what I'm about to reveal could shake the very foundations of Congress. Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Minnesota, is in fact in deep trouble, and so you see, this new complaint has dropped. And let me tell you, folks, it's not just about fraud. It's about a web of deceit, a paper trail of sorts, and that paper trail that leads straight to funding terrorism, absolute treason and sedition, which, as we all know, should be punishable by death. But here's the kicker. While the Democrats and the mainstream media scream about Trump, they're absolutely silent on this, as per the usual, trying to sweep it under the rug as to not draw too much attention to her confession, her admittance of committing crimes, fraud, her scams, and all her wrongdoings. And we all know why, right? It's their standard playbook, because it exposes their hypocrisy, their double standards, and their agenda to make America less than great again. But I have it all here for you, put together in a nice little and complete package, because as you all know, once you upload, publish, and hit post online, well, the internet is forever. As always, like the video and subscribe to my channel. But let's start with this crazy clip of Ilhan Omar saying the most insane thing yet, as she sits down there on CNN's stage and panel and attempts to poorly explain to CNN's news anchor and host Jake Tapper about where all the missing money has gone, why they took it, how she hates President Trump. The asylum seekers and refugees plot to continue their relentless campaign scheme to make America less than great again. And what happens next? Watch.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
For years, the Democrats and the mainstream media have been on a crusade against President Trump. They've called him every name in the book, accusing him of everything under the sun, and yet here we are, watching them engage in the very behaviors they claim to condemn.
Mr. President, thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with, go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. But what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And you have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. This is not the people living in Minnesota. And she's a disaster. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople because they don't represent the interests of our country.
Fox News reports Ilhan Omar faces new allegations of fraud, but this isn't just about one complaint. This is part of a pattern of hypocrisy that we need to highlight.
It should be extremely hard to become an American. It should be the hardest thing around. A lot of the people from these countries just got on probably a first-class ticket, paid for by an NGO and shipped in here. They were brought here without any thought, without any vetting, without any consideration. You know, the ancestors who came here, it was very difficult to do so. It took a lot of work. You're taking your life in your own hands. It is a totally different thing to migrate to a first world country on a first class ticket than to immigrate across an ocean on a wooden ship and to leave your entire life behind and to fully assimilate because, well, quite frankly, it was an assimilation population. It was a European and Christian population that was coming here. It's totally different now today. And you can see here on sort of the archipelago of failed states here, like, why are we taking anyone from any of these countries? You have no right to become an American. Has anybody made the case to the American people? I mean, this is what I'm asking for. I'm open-minded. Has anybody made the case for the American people that someone from Sudan should be allowed here? You know what's allowed in Sudan and Libya? Slavery, modern-day slavery. We fought to destroy that practice in America. Why are we taking modern-day slavers into the country? What are we doing? Sierra Leone is the same thing. Congo? Why are we taking people from these countries? Like, there's no, even if you are the biggest far-left liberal, there's no definitional explanation that you can provide to me that says these people are going to make, like, this is going to be congruent with Western civilization, because I can see the country. You don't want Sudan to be broken off and added as an American state. You wouldn't want to visit there. So why bring that culture here? It is regressive, actually. It's not progressive, it's regressive. I just go to Sudan and ask about women's rights, children's rights, children being kidnapped, sold as child brides. This is the era, slavery, child brides, and inbreeding. You can go check with the United Nations. Benny, you're such a right-winger. You're so extremist. You're so offensive. Go check with the United Nations, dude, about like where those practices are happening. Just right now, there are 10 million people in modern-day slavery. What is considered slavery by UN definitional standards, okay? And they're from these countries. So don't tell me that you care about women's rights or, like, I don't know, the lives of children. You don't, clearly. You're for abortion up to the point of birth and afterwards. No, it's totally evil. It's indefensible, and it's time to, like, start talking about it.
And so, folks, Benny Johnson breaks it down even further. And he says Ilhan Omar's district is ground zero for a massive fraud operation. And guess what? It's not just about fraud. It's about funding terrorism. And yes, you heard that right. Funding terrorism in Somalia. And just as you all heard earlier on in the show, we listened to this exchange on CNN where Jake Tapper asks, why did fraud in Minnesota get so out of control? And Ilhan Omar's response, typical of the woke mind, Democrat, and libtard. Zero accountability and zero guilt. Instead, she does what they always do and tries to do, and to blame it on there being no guardrails. But let's be real. This isn't about guardrails. This is about a system that's been exploited, and she's right in the middle of it. And would you look at her now, panicking, because the truth is coming out. The double standards are glaring. While they attack President Trump for every little thing, they turn a blind eye to their own. Ilhan Omar, a congresswoman allegedly involved in fraud and funding terrorism. Where's the outrage, folks? Where's the outrage from the media over this? Where's the relentless coverage? Crickets. But instead, we get this. An endless loop played and put on repeat of the Somalis' reaction to statements President Trump made about them being absolute garbage. And I want you all to try not to laugh here as you watch Minnesota State Senator Zainab Mohammed as she just melted down and whined that Trump called Somalis garbage and wants to denaturalize citizens.
Thank you, Brother Jaylani. Thank you, everybody, for being here. A couple of weeks ago, right-wing podcasters said Donald Trump should revoke temporary status for Somalis. 700 people across the country who are seeking refuge from famine and violence. So Trump did. And Republicans applauded or said nothing. Then Trump's agencies said they would be investigating false accusations connecting Somali citizens and terrorists. Again, Republicans cheered. Then we heard ICE agents would be coming to Minneapolis, where almost every Somali person living here is a citizen, many of us second or third generation. And again, Republicans either thanked him or said nothing. Yesterday, Donald Trump exposed what he really wants, what he really thinks, that Somalis are garbage. And that he does not want us here. That's dehumanizing and hateful language, and a direct threat to denaturalize and deport American citizens like myself. And where are the Republicans now? This morning, I emailed Republican leaders in the legislature and asked that they join us here, and that they speak out publicly or contact me directly and condemn what Donald Trump said about their fellow Minnesotans, their fellow citizens. So far, no response. My offer still stands. The actions taking place against Somalis in Minnesota include ICE, Border Patrol, the DEA, the DOJ, the Treasury Department, Homeland Security, the ATF, and the FBI. They are throwing the full weight of the federal government against a tiny population of people, maybe 80,000 in Minnesota and a couple 100,000 across the nation. We are a fraction of a percent. Why us? Is it because we're tiny and most Americans don't know a Somali person? And he thinks he can get away with it? He can start with us, but it will not end with us. This is a defining moment in the history of the United States. We are a nation of immigrants and of rights, but only if we are brave enough to defend it. What we do now, collectively and individually, determines what kind of country we are. I'm asking every Minnesotan and every American to stand with us now and prove to the world, as we have many times before, that as a nation we are stronger than any authoritarian dictator. Thank you.
She claimed the entire federal government is being weaponized against maybe 80,000 Somalis in Minnesota, and says it's because they're a tiny population and Trump thinks he can get away with it. She ended with the usual, "This won't end with us," fear-mongering. But reality check, Senator. If every three-letter agency is suddenly interested in your community, maybe, just maybe, it's not because you're tiny. Maybe it's because 80,000 Somalis dropped in Minnesota by Obama was deliberate far-left voter importation, a plot, a scam, and a scheme for political gain through electoral manipulation. But how about this too, folks? And the fact that American citizens outside of DC don't get a free pass when fraud, gangs, or terror ties pop up, period. And so cry harder about the authoritarian dictators while you demand special immunity for your third world brethren. The rest of us are done with the selective outrage. We're moving on to investigate, prosecute, and deport if necessary. This is America, Ilhan, not East Africa, and there are no sacred cows here. Ilhan Omar's actions are a disgrace to the office she holds, for now, but this isn't just about her. It's about a party that prioritizes illegal immigrants and undocumented fraud rings over American citizens. And they've all outstayed their welcome. And I'm tired of hearing them all complaining about our country and our Constitution. It's time for them to go back home.
I've been here for 38 years, and I cannot articulate how disappointed I am in we the people that we allow this to fall so easily. Having 38 years ago, because I bought into it, yes, I wanted to come here. 38 years later, after being here and realizing how it's more fast, it's more smokes and mirrors, I am ready to leave. I can't financially leave right now, but the first opportunity financially that I can get, I am leaving. And I'm leaving on principle because I feel that if I, as an immigrant, remain in a fascist country.
The hypocrisy is staggering. They preach about democracy, but their actions say otherwise. And it's true. They're not interested in making America great. They're only interested in making America great for all those who exploit its benefits and our generosity. But here's the kicker. While they cry about Trump's policies, they're the ones with ties to funding terrorism. Ilhan Omar's district, her actions, it's all part of a bigger picture, a picture of a party that's lost its way. The Democrats, the liberals, the mainstream media, the seditious congressmen and women in the House and in the Senate, they all want to hate President Trump because he stands in the way of their illegals first, steal the taxpayers' money, anti-ICE, full-on voter fraud agenda. An agenda that makes America less than great again. An agenda that prioritizes fraud, terrorism, and hypocrisy over the American people.